Welcome back to Suladan Plays Driftmoon, Enchanted Edition. Last time we forged our feathers into a sword for some reason, and this time we're going to a hatch, which covers a mysterious hole. At first glance you expect to see the hole filling with boiling lava, but there's only darkness. You can make out a small ladder that leads down into the unknown depths. I don't like the looks of this. If we go down there, we better make sure we're prepared. There could be anything waiting for us at the bottom. Like more lava! Which is probably what's down there. Or not. Winston? I've just not seen him yet and didn't expect him to look like that. As soon as you climb down, a tall man hurries to you from the other side of the room. You're ready to draw out your weapons when the man steps out of the shadows. Your astonishment overwhelms you. It's Winston, your own father. He looks very surprised to see you, but his expression quickly turns to a fatherly smile. Are my eyes deceiving me? My son, what a surprise to see you! I thought you'd been petrified. I saw it with my own eyes. Your father looks considerably more worn out and many years older than when you last saw him only a winter ago. His hand shakes as he offers it to you. My son, I'm so glad you could come. I see you've brought a friend. It's very nice to finally meet you, Sarah. I've heard so much about you. From who? How? When? Where? Sarah opens her mouth, can't get a word out. Father, Ixal got the gems and Robert disappeared. Oh, don't worry, Robert's safe, and I have all the gems here. He looks down, smiling, and carefully examines the ornate necklace on his neck. The Pendant of Resurrection, you've done such excellent work finding all the gems, and to think that little jewel our family had was actually part of such a magnificent artifact. Look at it. The small pendant is the source of Ixal's power. This is what he used to bring life back to millions of the dead. Oh yes, it's a common misconception that Ixal mindlessly killed people. But you see, it wasn't that he took life, but that he gave life. Winston looks into your eyes solemnly, his hand still shaking. Yes, he's been brainwashed. I think we can all establish that. I know you're still young, but have you ever thought about what happens when you die? What if there is no afterlife? What if this life is the only one you get? Your one and only chance at accomplishing something, your one chance to reach your dreams and leave a mark on the world. I don't care about leaving a mark on the world. I left a footstep over there. There you go, there's a mark. A footprint, you know what I mean. I know there are people who swear to know the truth, but who can say for certain that there truly is an afterlife? And if there is no afterlife, wouldn't you rather want to live after death, even if you had to live as a skeleton? That's what the Pendant of Resurrection does. It gives life. A life after death. Winston breathes deeply as he smooths the wrinkles on his robe nervously. I remember when you were a small boy and Robert fell out of that tree. You were so afraid of death and dying. Who wouldn't be? But that's all in the past for us now. What do you say, my son? Will you join me and share the Pendant of Resurrection with me? Together we will live forever and bring life back to all those who have died. Your mother, all your friends in Northrop, everyone. Paul told me we were here to purify the pendant. Oh yes, but you see that's no longer... Suddenly your father's face twists strangely and it looks like he's choking. He whispers, Get away! It's Ixal! He instantly lifts his arm to his face, his hand shaking harder than ever, and with a blast of light his face returns to normal. Only a few beads of sweat mark the disturbance. He looks at you calmly. Please, let me explain. And who are you and what have you done with my father? The older man with an unbelievable likeness to your father looks down for a moment, appearing to be in deep thought. Then he turns his eyes to you with a look much colder than that of your father's. I can see the doubt in your eyes. There's no need to pretend any further. Yes, I am King Ixal, but allow me to help you understand. Now his hands are completely steady. By help me understand, you don't mean bash my skull in, right? My soul was locked inside the gems. All of them, or just one, I don't know. I don't know why Winston started his experiments on the gems. But that was the first thing I had truly felt in ages. He smiles just like your father used to. He's a smart man, you know. He found a way to talk to me, and with my guidance he freed me. Out of kindness, Winston chose to share his body with me. I was overjoyed I could finally resume my important mission. Ixal's victorious smile fades and he furrows his brows. Unfortunately, Winston's body hasn't handled our collaboration as well as I'd hoped, and it seems to be aging faster than expected. But no matter, it will function long enough, and my mission will succeed. Your mission? Oh, please, you must understand I'm not the monster you may think I am. I know what the history books say I did, but they're wrong. They never truly understood what my Pendant of Resurrection does. With it, I can bring life back to all our loved ones, an everlasting empire on Driftmoon where nobody ever dies. And we were so close, but the fools broke the pendant! They were responsible for countless deaths. Ixal looks down at the Pendant of Resurrection. But now I can start again. I can repair the wrongs. No, you monster, you were the one Before she has a chance to finish her sentence, Ixal raises his staff and points it at her. You try to react to stop Ixal, but for some reason you're unable to raise your weapons. Can I have all that stuff back? Oh boy, she's all crackety. A cold, blinding light floods the cave. As your vision returns, you see poor sweet Sarah, a permanent expression of fear petrified on her face. The courageous young woman who followed you straight into the monster's lair and stood by your side is now petrified and lost in the same devastating darkness that her potion just revived you from. But what about her share of the potion? She didn't take the Moonwell potion after all. She must have just told you that to make you drink it all yourself. And now, without the slightest hesitation, Ixal has turned Sarah into ice-cold stone. Try to shout at Ixal to take back the spell, but no voice escapes your throat. Never interrupt King Ixal when he speaks! Ixal roars louder than a giant, and the whole room shakes. The furious man forces a calmer voice out of his throat. I do not want to harm you. Ixal pinches the bridge of his nose and sighs, looking very tired. It was her own fault. She shouldn't have. But I can bring her back to life again. I've had to stop many people who have not understood, but I will soon give them life with the Pendant of Resurrection. Then they will realize how wrong they were. I too didn't understand at first, not until my precious queen Aenir strangled me in my sleep and revived me. Ixal's neck twitches for a few seconds as if reliving the memory, but he doesn't seem bothered by it. You must have noticed above, I also had to petrify that thieving Paul the librarian. He tried the same trick again as he did last time we met all those years ago. He tried to steal the pendant, but this time I was ready for him. He was your last hope, wasn't he? Ixal smiles gleefully. Maybe you can help me, or perhaps you're still hoping your firefly will save you? He points to a table at the center of the room. Your little friend was brought to me just a while ago, and I've tried explaining things to him, but he still refuses to see reason. Come. You try to raise your weapon, but for some reason you feel compelled to follow Ixal. What's happening? No, give me my item! No! My stuff! Give! Oh, hi, Fizz. Ixal opens the cover of a small cage and steps back. At first glance, you see only semi-transparent magical field, but on closer inspection reveals the almost immobile Fizz the Firefly, his once bright green lamp barely glowing. Did you know your friend isn't a regular firefly? No? This is a very rare breed indeed. I've never seen one quite like it, possibly the last of its kind. Ixal peers inside the cage. What a strange little creature, so powerful yet so small. When I didn't have the pendant, that little thing could really have hurt me. Can you imagine the odds of you finding him just when I was about to meet you for the first time? Oh, I wasn't prepared for him back then, so to my shame, I had to let you go about your adventures. But I'm more than prepared now. Ixal rattles the cage with his staff and stares intently at Fizz, his exhausted eyes glowing with red light. He's a little tired after our talks, and I do hope he doesn't die too soon. Wouldn't want to harm anyone, not even a fly. I've tried every manner of spell on him to make him see sense. For some reason, magic doesn't seem to work on him. But that's irrelevant. I have something that works on him now. It's a shame to waste such a unique life, even a small one like his. But he just won't see what we're trying to accomplish here. Fizz starts buzzing defiantly, doing loops in the air. You're alive! Don't believe him! Your father didn't choose to help him! That monster is forcing Winston's body under his will, and your father's suffering awfully! Ixal only wants endless power! Never give up! I just love all the little light trails, it's really nice. Ixal slips the tip of his staff inside the magical field, and with surprising speed smashes the firefly to the bottom of the cage. The crushed little body of Fizz remains on the bottom of his cage, his green light now completely out. Yeah, I didn't aim properly. Do you understand now? I'm offering you eternal life. Eternal life to everyone on Driftmoon, every man, woman, child, in harmony and peace. When my kingdom is complete, no one need die of old age. There will be no hunger, there will be no war, only peace. Your brother Robert already understands. He is now one of us, one of the Endless Empire. Don't worry, one day you'll be grateful too. Ixal examines the pendant, then he lifts his head and his ice-cold, piercing eyes turn back on you. But first, to receive the gift of life, you must die. Robert would not join you, and neither will I. Oh, we shall see. A few years inside stone will do wonders to your ignorant attitude. Ixal's burning eyes glare directly into yours. It's time. No one will come and save you this time. You try and run, but your muscles won't move at all, as if you were completely paralyzed. What is this? You can do nothing but stand still while Ixal's staff sends out another blinding light beam, one that feels bright enough to burn your eyes straight out of your head. But a few blinks later, you don't feel the least bit more petrified than before. In fact, you notice you've suddenly regained the use of your arms and legs. You finally feel able to resist Ixal's power. Ah! Ixal bellows and his voice makes the whole cave shake. Of course! Girl delivered you some foul potion. The whales must have their fins in this. Yes, the conspiracy of the whales. How very inconvenient, but it's just a minor delay. The potion may shield you from that spell, but it won't shield you from others. Die. No, I want my items. Mine. Yeah, there we go. Hey, Panther. Okay, it's not Velvet. Will you attack? Flurry. All the flurries. Where'd he go? Now don't walk through the... Wait, what if I turn the... Move. Ixal, will you hold... still? I don't know what's happening anymore. Okay, I'm hurting him. We're not in the middle of the fighty field. Why are you trying to hurt me with fire? It doesn't work when I'm not there. Oh, mana potion. Okay, Ixal. Oh dear Lord, no. I didn't ask for a lava titan, you goober. That ain't fair. Go away, lava titan. Okay, pathfinding is having a bad day. Also beating up Winston, so that's a problem. So let it. As you examine Ixal's body, he starts twitching. A blast of light emerges from him and is absorbed by the petrified statue of your friend Sarah. Yep. For a moment, everything in the room is still and quiet. Before you get the chance to let out a sigh of relief, strange light appears in the eyes of the Sarah statue, and a strange, high-pitched voice echoes from within the body. I will make this body mine. But as you turn to face the statue, you can hear a whisper coming from the direction of your father. Come closer. Whoa. Well, there went the thing. You defeated Ixal. Yay, game over. Finish all the quests with a good ending. Wixby's wondrous arrows. But what about... oh, dear goodness. What about all the other things? Go, Winston. The red light is gone from your father's eyes. He lies on the floor very strangely, as if he were paralyzed. He smiles faintly. Thank the Maker you heard me, son. There's something that must be done, but I can't feel my arms or legs. I can't do this myself. You must do it. He coughs up blood. Your gaze is drawn to the pendant on your father's neck. You can feel its power even at a distance. Listen to me. Take the pendant before that monster Ixal gains control of Sarah's body. Can't I destroy it with my high silver weapon? Take the pendant. Carefully remove the pendant from your father's neck. It feels cold to the touch and extremely heavy. As you examine the necklace, you notice the intricate carvings and golden parts. Angels using the pendant to make flowers bloom. Angels healing the injured. Can't help but wonder whether Ixal was right all along. Is the magic of the pendant the only afterlife there is? If it's true, wouldn't it be wrong to destroy it? Now, son, please take the pendant to the Firefly. Winston winces. He must be in terrible pain. Ixal knew there was something special about that creature. Sure. Fizz, what a fitting name. Ixal's more afraid of your Firefly friend than anything else. He's so afraid of it that he never dared come close to you during the time he was in control of me. Not until the Firefly was completely struck with grief. He coughs again, looking pained. What he knew about the Firefly I never found out. I couldn't read his thoughts. Okay. Hey, Fizz! Didn't you get smooshed? Poor Fizz lies on the floor of the cage. You cannot tell whether he's alive or not. Place the pendant in front of him. You open the door of Ixal's magical cave and place the pendant just a few scented drifts from your tiny friend Fizz. I don't feel so good. Fizz focuses his tired little eyes on you, green light blinking to life again. Then he fixes a determined gaze on the pendant. You know, I've always wanted to be a big star. I'm ready. Are you gonna explode? Fizz touches the pendant, and an explosion of light and sound knocks you back. When you recover from the warm, blinding blast, the pendant floats in the air above you, burning your eyes with a light that is both warm and beautiful. In some mysterious way, you are instantly convinced. The jewel floating in the air beside you is no longer the pendant of resurrection that Ixal forged to revive the dead into a twisted unlife. It is no tool of destruction, but the true, purified pendant of life. Slowly, the pendant starts rotating and sending out thousands of light beams in different directions. One of them hits your father, and soon you. As the light beam touches you, you feel strangely cheerful and elated, but nothing visible happens. Finally, one light beam hits Sarah, and with a terrible last scream, Ixal's spirit leaves Sarah's statue and vanishes into the air. The light from the pendant stops, and it falls to the floor blackened and crumbling. As you try to touch it, there is nothing left but dust. All of a sudden, you feel a friendly hand pat your back comfortingly. It's over now, then. Your father inspects the room around you carefully, gasping audibly as he notices Sarah, still made of stone. He goes on, looking shaken. I really thought everyone, your mother, Sarah, all our friends would have been awakened by the cleansed pendant. But I see Ixal's foul magics were too much for the pendant. I can hardly believe it crumbled to dust by the effort. Winston looks down at the ashes of the pendant, a wistful look on his aged face. Then he closes his eyes and shakes his head. Oh, I wish we could have saved everyone. Your father is silent for a moment, then turns his eyes back to you. But son, never think you have failed, not in the least. The evil king is finally defeated and will no longer commit atrocities. You've made it possible for all the survivors to live without constant fear. Winston smiles sorrowfully. My son, words can't express how proud of you I am. You have succeeded where I failed. You are stronger than your father, my son. Let's see. Don't forget your help was the most valuable. You're the one that told me to give it to Fizz. Thank you, that's most kind of you, trying to ease the guilt of your father, but still, I am to blame. I'm certain that I caused all this. I fear all hope has now died with the pendant. Your father stares at the ground blindly, a look of devastation in his eyes. Suddenly there's a change in the room. A strange tingling sound. A tinkling sound? Tingling isn't normally something you would ascribe to sound. A tingling sensation or a tinkling sound, like the sound of, shards of glass resonating or whatnot. A cloud of glowing dust forms around Sarah's statue. It circles it, moving at tremendous speed, making it difficult to catch clear sight. The dust is absorbed by the statue. What was that and why? One of the statue's fingers moves, just a tiny fraction, but enough to make you jump. Could Ixal have survived? Your father stares at the statue. But as he watches the color return to Sarah's cheeks, his expression turns to a amazed smile, then a triumphant grin. It's a miracle! I was wrong to ever doubt. It's working. Even as we speak, all of Ixal's monstrous deeds must be reversing, one by one. Your friend Sarah, she's really waking up. Your father smiles joyfully and pushes you towards Sarah. Don't push people, it's rude. I want to poke the mirror. Oh, hi. You came to me, apparently. The spell is broken and Sarah is no longer a statue. The young woman quickly approaches you, flashing a relieved smile. So happy to be back to life again. You saved me. I knew you would. Sarah gives you a hug, her cheeks blushing softly. It was horrible. First I was all alone. Then Ixal tried to force my mind away from my body and leave me in the darkness forever. If it hadn't been for you, I shudder to think about it. Sarah turns back to you again, smiling. You stopped Ixal. You're a real hero. Her eyes twinkle as she looks at you shyly. It's over now. There's something I'd like to ask you before, I know you're probably busy, but I have a nice submarine waiting back home, and I've been thinking I'd like to go out and see the rest of Driftmoon. When things settle down. Sarah looks down, takes a deep breath, and looks at you again. Would you like to come with me? She holds out her hand to you, the red shade of her cheeks growing deep. Sure, we'll go explore the Where's Earth? I want that answer. We're gonna find out this entire thing is on one of the moons of Notrium. Great, let's go. Okay, we got another one. The suspenders of disbelief. Suspension of disbelief. Love it. Oh, well, that's the end of that. The two of you head out to the fortress to meet all your loved ones and friends hand in hand. Every now and then, Sarah takes a little glance at you, smiling sweetly. The adventures you two encountered were far from over. After a time of unthinkable fear, Driftmoon was finally at peace. Ixal's foul deeds had been undone, and life returned to the petrified people. The celebrations were grand and joyous, full of life and love, and an overwhelming feeling of relief. But even though the threat of Ixal had passed, the people were never really the same again. Those who used to take the many blessings in their lives for granted had awakened to realize how much they were nearly lost and notice all that is precious and beautiful in their lives. As Brother Paul put it, Ixal would have been appalled to know that in spite of his despicable intentions, he in fact taught the people of Driftmoon to think deeper, see wider, and look higher. Paul often spoke like that. Mittens, the disembodied hand, returned to life. For some reason, it still refused to reattach itself to Farmer Plotho's arm. Instead, it became a prominent writer of science fiction novels where a lonely hand fights criminals with gunpowder, rockets, and electricity. And although most readers never found it intimidating as the author intended, the handshake of death. After hearing too many loud noises in the famous fight at the gates of Morris Meth, Fred the Piper nearly quit his work as a superhero. But when Rince the Hatmaker made him a beautiful green cape with a large letter F embroidered in it, why did the Hatmaker make a cape? Fred finally agreed to make a comeback. He became a legend in his own time, rescuing those in need of help, at least if they managed to shout out Fred's name first and didn't need rescuing too quickly. Bertie the Heroic abandoned his adventuring career. He worked briefly as a flooring inspector, but eventually found his true calling selling fine leather jackets. The people of Driftmoon were surprised to still sometimes find the bogeyman behind their wardrobes and attic doors. From his hiding place, he would try to unscare them. Sometimes it even worked. The tale of Belinda, the wolf mother of I misread tale as a different tale. Thought it meant like tale, like the legend, and I'm like, dude, how did Belinda become a legend? Wagged faster than a degoose when her dearest wish finally came true. After spending weeks and weeks faithfully by the side of her stone cub, Jazz, her little one finally sprung to life and instantly started chasing her tail. Both the canines learned an important lesson. Belinda realized that sometimes it's wise to place your trust in a person you doubted, and Jazz, on the other hand, learned it's not a great idea to lick the face of every stranger that walks down your path. Much to the joy of her feline subjects, Queen Velvet III returned to the Panther Kingdom, her royal fur coat shining brighter than ever. For some reason, the magical ash flying from the volcano of Morris Meth had done wonders to her fur, a fact which Velvet herself seemed most pleased. After the war ended, the Rakan Resistant helped return all the Panthers that had been taken prisoner and build a permanent peace treaty. The leaders of the Rakan Resistance later admitted that subduing the anger of noble Queen Velvet III required not only the most carefully written official apology and a most respectful reception arranged in her honor, but also a fair amount of the most expensive panther delicacies, Bobblian fish heads, and rare chocolate-covered ruby snails. Oh dear. Ever since Captain Catdog found out the terrible undead man of Aeone had been your brother Robert all along, his dreams about Aeon started to change from nightmares to pleasant ones. Finally, he couldn't resist the temptation any longer. He returned to Aeon and started his own Lost Island theme park. Oh, at least the Stonehead will finally have company. The theme park's a huge success. Not a soul was lost to the currents of Aeone. Captain would dock his passengers directly to Bobby's little hermit island, and they traveled through the Eleanor tunnels to get safely to the main island. Crowds of people came to chat with the giant statue Rapakivi, visit the mythical underwater passages of Eleanor's and its geysers, see the infamous mechanical snatchers, and take part in Captain Catdog's Speak Like a Sailor crash course. Laura the archaeologist went on to discover the mystery of her missing university. Before her expedition left, she gave you a notebook filled with odd references to a flying castle. Oh dear. Ixal's long and terrifying reign inside Winston's skin had left its marks on your father. It took him quite a while to return back to normal. After many years of recovery time, your father was looking decades younger again, and had even built up the courage to start working alchemy again. The terrible things Ixal forced your father to witness had grown in him an exceptionally strong tendency to help anyone in need, be it a beggar or a common fly. But as admirable as his newfound altruistic intentions were, the time he decided to help Farmer Plotho's hungry Growblutch find dinner proved to be an exaggeration of his ideals, or more plainly put, a bad idea. Fortunately, your father has always been a remarkably fast runner. Your mother, Marietta, was overjoyed to welcome her husband and both her sons home in one piece. Having gotten a personal experience of the life of a statue herself, she gave up her old dream of designing a gorgeous rock garden. But, being a woman of action, Marietta quickly developed a new hobby, rock climbing, which eventually led to climbing whole mountains. Even though she was no longer a young gal, your mother finally became the first Driftmoonian to climb the top of notorious Mount Marshmallow. And as fun as it was the first time around, she never ever pushed it down the well again. Word inherited his father's tavern, and the taverning business boomed when you persuaded Hogpuff the Brave to start drinking milk at North Ravine. Sari asked word to marry her, and she outright refused to take no for an answer. Her wedding ring was decorated by a very familiar-looking shining blue diamond. The monks of the East Abbey were relieved to have their old abbot back again, and to see the good name of Paul the Librarian restored. Sherman was eager to turn the monastery's newfound rotating maze into a tourist attraction, but eventually gave up his plans when he had to be rescued by Wislam and the other monks after spending a whole day lost in the maze. After spending years training his ants and being called Crazy Ant-Man, Tooth's remarkable talent was finally noticed, and he was recognized as the ingenious commander of the 5th Ant Legion. Tooth and his trained ants served in the military, winning many battles against their now well-tickled opponents. After his famous victory against the ferocious giant anteater, he was awarded a new set of teeth by Quan Six Fingers. Blotch spent day after day on Bobby's small island, waiting for the whale. When the big girl finally arrived, she apologized and said she'd accidentally swam across a very talented or large-lunged whale choir along the way and completely lost track of time, singing whale songs. That's the drawback of scheduling a meeting with a whale. They're such enthusiastic singers, and once they get started, you never know when it'll end. But aside from the rather bumpy beginning to their duet, they quickly hit a common note and have been great friends ever since. Blanche has gotten to see wonder after wonder, hitching a ride in the mouth of the big-hearted sweetie. And judging by his hook, he became a good dentist. And don't you beep at me. Anne and William traveled back to their new home at the Nomon docks, which had already returned to the tropical paradise it was supposed to be. They had a joyous reunion with William's father and all the other villagers who'd been awakened from their petrified state. Within a few years, William and Annie had comfortably settled in the Nomon docks, adopted Hokey the Dagu, obsessed with the strange new sport, and the smithy of William and his father became the most renowned one in Driftmoon. Good, Hokey survived. His trip to the void will forever haunt his dreams. After successfully defending Driftmoon at the gates of the impenetrable fortress, Annie got so excited about using the bow and arrow she started taking part in sharpshooting competitions again and was soon recognized throughout Driftmoon for her amazing talent. Blotch and his whale friends even composed a whole musical in Annie's honor titled Annie Get Your Bow. I know that's a reference to something. Oh, I know that's a reference to something. Anyway. Unfortunately, though the length of the musical was perfect for a moon whale, most of the land-dwelling members of the audience that didn't fall asleep quietly sneaked away about halfway through the show. Rapakivi was left on Aone, where he spent many more years waiting for someone to talk to. But even more than that, he was waiting for someone to come and scratch his nose, which itched terribly. Finally, one fateful day, the Lost Island theme park opened on the island with the Mechanical Snatcher attraction and an all-night underwater Eleanorian restaurant. The tourists nearly drove Rapakivi mad, constantly climbing his forehead and begging him to foretell their future, when even the idea of the present time was limited to the view he had from his permanent guard post. But Rapakivi didn't complain. His occasional irritation was always surpassed by the happiness of never being lonely or itchy again. When Ixal's magic broke, Robert returned to his former self. Muscle, skin, and all the other bits suddenly came back, though Robert complained he wouldn't have minded getting more than he originally had. But your brother and that... This is what happens when you talk too much. You get tongue-tied. But your brother never lost the wisdom and the deep insight to life he had gained during the many centuries he spent traveling historical Driftmoon. Vertical line! Vertical line! Robert resumed his job as an inventor and a smith, though he was careful not to compete too much with William Smithy. When Robert's friend Charlie the Wombat found a rich gold seam in Robert's basement, the whole place was turned into a gold mine. After 2 years of digging, Robert donated all the gold away and never told anyone why. Professor Dorr was pleased to hear that his research assistant had saved the world. Like professors everywhere, he argued that he had credit for everything his employees did should go to him. But uncharacteristically, he settled for a mere mention in the history records. Soon after the fall of Ixal, Professor Dorr moved to the Rakan territories to study the behavior of lizards in the wild. The rescue party found no trace of him, only his glasses. Quan Six Fingers eventually got tired of his nickname and being a true self. Okay, so something weird happened and the microphone cut out again, but thankfully it was right near the end of this time, but it is making me start to get suspicious of things. Because that's twice it's happened now. Anyway, Quan Six Fingers eventually got tired of his nickname, and being a true salesman, he fixed the problem by selling his sixth finger. Thereafter, he was officially known as Quan Five Fingers, though most of his old friends never seemed to remember his fancy new name. To reconcile the difference with his wife Sherry, Quan decided to abandon his old career in black market sales, and figured he would take up a more respectable profession. But when he became a famous politician, some said it was all thanks to his befitting hat, while others were quite convinced that his former career was the more respectable one. The ancient ghost Eldar, who vanished while defending his guard post from Ixal's troops invading Eldar's tomb, briefly returned to Driftmoon, claiming to come from the Kingdom of Heaven to deliver an important message to Paul the Librarian. When pressed for details about the afterlife, he would only say he was in no position to say anything, and that people should direct their questions to a higher authority. Paul the Librarian remained as mysterious and reclusive as ever. Soon after the celebrations, he vanished on a long voyage, with only a vague promise of trying to find you as soon as he could get back. To the joy and surprise of everyone, even Hannah Newmoon of Northrop returned to life. Without a scar on her once badly burned skin, she found her true calling in writing down the history of Driftmoon for Robert's stories. Seems like if she's not a ghost anymore, they should have fixed the faceplate, but yay! I mean, drawing a faceplate takes a lot of work anyway, so I'm not saying. Anyway, the giant snowman in the frozen Nomon docks was never seen again until one day, but what happens next is a whole new story. This is the end of Driftmoon. Thank you for playing. Developed by Ville and Anne Monconen. Music by Gareth Meek. All portraits by Johanna Sundstrom, except the portraits of Wordpaul, Laura Sarah, and maybe some others by Ville. I probably butchered some names there. Sorry, I'm bad with names. Love the game, though. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Ooh, modders. All of our players, friends and family. Lively little children. a very fun... Why? Am I Fizz now? Am I Fizz? Can I move? I want to move. Well, I guess not. For Fizz is the after credit sequence. And if you hit continue, you just kind of load back into here. Again, this is recorded afterwards because of a microphone mishap, but I basically ran around turning on all the valves trying to burn the place down, and it didn't work. I think they're just like gimmicks for the fight for Ixal to set you on fire with. And I missed these chests, which I must loot. All chests must be loot. All of them. But yeah, there wasn't much to do here. I suppose you could wander around the game and probably go do questy stuff. Assuming the rock slide doesn't still have you trapped at that point. Didn't think to check for that. But yeah, this has been Suladan Plays Driftmoon. Wonderful game, really recommend it. It appears that there are multiple endings for like if I use the high silver weapon to destroy the amulet or if I joined Ixal, and associated achievements. I didn't get all the feathers, I didn't get all the goldfish. If you're curious about these things, I highly recommend you grab a copy of the game. It is on GOG, it is on Steam, it's probably elsewhere too. I don't know, Ville makes really fun games. After this, I'm probably going to be Let's Playing Notrium, or showcasing Notrium, since it's actually... It's not something I can do a comprehensive Let's Play on, but very fun game. Really need to see if I can find the some of the mod versions. There were some different campaigns and stuff you could add to the game. Notrium was highly moddable. I actually experimented with modding it a bit back then, but because it was the scripting language was very understandable to me. But in any case, this has been Suladan Plays Driftmoon Enchanted Edition. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on the next game.